All right. Admit, I'll keep letting people in as they come, but love seeing all of you here. I will be sharing my screen for the majority of the time, so hopefully you can see. Whoops, let me start at the beginning here of how to build your diet, your first diet. And I say that because hopefully you know by now that adjustments do need to be made with time. So this is just like a launching pad, and honestly this is the easiest part of the entire journey, is building that first diet. It's the troubleshooting of knowing when to change things, right? But going to really teach you how we do it here at LBC, and hopefully I don't have to do a lot of convincing, because if you're here, I say 18 plus years for myself, but this is actually year 20 for LBC in business online. I've been coaching now for 18 years. So we're not here really necessarily to convince you, and just hopefully through our track record of being here for so long that we've been doing this a while, and if you're here watching this, like, we will not lead you astray. We want to keep it to the simplest way to help you create this first, fat loss diet. So I've been doing this for 18 years, 95% of the time working with females, always prioritizing health. 10 years of my coaching, I've had stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. I truly believe that my health journey here has really what has helped me be one of the outliers and still be here. Prior to getting cancer, though, I was formerly 90 pounds overweight. I weighed 230 at my, heaviest, and did it the old fashioned way. I did Weight Watchers and, just a calorie deficit. And now I've maintained it for 19 years. I say maintain because I've stayed within probably like a, 10, 15 pound range, because I've done some builds. But I would say the last 6, 7, 8 years, I've really come full circle in having a very healthy relationship with food. While maybe I was here physically looking the same, I wasn't always here mentally. And so we grow and learn all about the internal reasons why we should be doing this. So through that, though, I created what we call our food sub calculator. I was a client of Eric's that, I came from already having a lot of food restriction, and I'm like, I need some options. Like, I love having a meal plan and being told what to eat and how much to eat. After a couple weeks of that, I felt really restricted, and I needed to continue to have a healthy relationship. So I actually started blogging for LBC and creating recipes. So a lot of you will know me from years ago buying one of my cookbooks that, we printed from our printer and binded them and put them together. And I just fell in love with the nutrition side of things. And I knew that honestly, that is the key to success here, is having really good food, because we all got to eat. And it doesn't matter how we always say we can do something for X amount of time. Sure, I can eat sawdust for a few, I used to a lot in my 20s and 30s, eat a lot of things that I didn't really necessarily like. But I've learned that there is a way to make this a lifestyle. And I'm going to try to teach you today that, however, we're going to be packaging it in a caloric deficit, but it really is, even at maintenance, a version of this. And you have to start to see that long term. I cried the first time that I realized that I had to still live this lifestyle even after I got to my goal. For some reason, I thought that when I got to my goal, I'd be able to, like, I don't know, let loose and be a little crazy or something. And that just wasn't the case. So, through this, I'm a busy mom too. So I try to relate to the person that wants to have good food and wants to enjoy the things, but honestly, they're not like a chef that's spending all their time, in the kitchen. I work all day. And so when I get done with work, the last thing I want to do is spend an hour, prepping meals for my family. So I will, show you basically what our LBC meal template looks like. We call it a template because we don't believe in the macro philosophy. And if you've not watched Meals Over Macros, it's a video that Eric put together on why we don't. I really suggest that you go watch it. It's in our Facebook group. It just really shares why we do not adopt the IIFYM macro tracking, philosophy. And, I came from that place. I first did points with Weight Watchers, and then I hired a coach, my first, thinking I wanted to do, fitness prep or whatever. I was going to do a show, and I got macros. And that was my first experience. At first, it was like, oh, I loved the food freedom. But with that, then became some food obsession, and then just overwhelmed with just constantly feeling like I was married to my food tracker. It was not My Fitness Pal. We didn't have My Fitness Pal back then, but I think it was like my food diet day or something like that. I had all my foods added in there, and I was always, working in there. And so we created this calculator to show you that what you want to first do is build your initial dream diet. Okay. That means not just the calories, it means placing it on an actual day, pausing and going, what does my day look like? What is my outline of my schedule going to look like in terms of meal timing? And while, yes, we know we can't always adopt that meal timing, it's really good to have that predictability. Our dieting hormones love this. It is better for sustainability because we don't have all these hunger changes throughout the day. So you want to first start there. Now, let me just share with you what a meal template of ours looks like. So no two templates are going to look the same, simply because it's going to be based on the things that client likes, but also it's going to be based on like their schedule. Like I'm going to look at what time they wake up in the morning and what time they're training, how many meals are they going to have before that, like all of those things. Look at what time they wake up in the morning, what time they're going to bed, and then kind of meet them in the middle. It is a myth to think that you need to have 6 meals a day, but I say that saying that it's going to be really hard to only have 3 and still hit your protein requirements. Because as we start to build this, you're going to see that the majority of you are going to be eating 4 to 5 meals per day. And that is just because it's the only way to really get in all of those, all of your calories and your protein. Some of you now, lifestyle wise, you may have 6 meals. I have a client just recently, my first 6 meal diet that I'd built in a while. But you know what? She laid out what she kind of does right now. She's a school teacher, has a couple smaller meals. And so that's the way we built it. So you really do have to look at how you build it. Now, what you're going to be looking at when you build a meal template is the things that you most commonly eat and like, first and foremost, knowing that you're going to be able to have some subbing in here. So we really believe in matching calories and prioritizing protein overall. Yes, I'll teach you how to use the food sub calculator at the end of this, but at the end of the day, it really does come down to calories and protein. Now, we are going to break it down further and show you how to really build, like I said, your meal plan, but we'll take you through that step by step. So first, we have to find your maintenance. Okay, this is the first step. And I'm going to say we will assume, and that's because, listen, you can go through every calculator online. There's several of them to go through, and there's ones that are more complicated than others. But roughly and generally, in a healthy body, you should be maintaining, I say should be, maintaining around 14 to 15 times body weight in calories. So if right now you take your weight, if you're 150 pounds and you do that math right now and that freaks you out, put that in the chat right now. Just say, hey, that seems really high for me. Okay. I want to know that first and foremost, how many of you are already coming from a place of possibly under eating? Okay. So, and this is just, and this again, this is like that. Yeah. You're like, that's really high for me. Okay. So, now, the reason why I want you to see this is because this is the place, even when you get done dieting, that you're coming back up to. Of course, you'll be at a lighter weight because you've now lost some weight, but you're always trying to then reverse back to your maintenance. Most people don't do this. They go into a caloric deficit. And the way the body works is it's going to down regulate. It knows to conserve. Okay. This is why eventually you have to, one, make diet adjustments. I mean, why do you think when I did Weight Watchers, I started at 28 points, you guys? I lost 70 pounds with them and I was down to 18 points. Okay. That's probably from 28 to 18. In their words, probably about 1,000 calories. I mean, it's probably, or roughly 80 calories a point, whatever you want to call it. They had to adjust that because as time went on, I cannot eat that same amount. My body has learned to, plus I'm lighter in weight, right? So that's going to happen. But we find our maintenance first because you're going to be starting your fat loss diet about 30% less than that, than what your maintenance. We don't want to go much more aggressive than that. And I'll tell you why. I mean, we know that the studies just show it, but I just went down to Florida last year for a seminar, and I got to listen to Alan Aragon and Lane Norton, and they, a couple professors from the University of Florida, and they came out with a study that just came out, and it was all based on females that were on a 42.5% caloric deficit. Okay. And I'll tell you, most of you have probably been in that type of deficit most of your life. And they took these two groups. One did a 42%, the other, did not. They were like at less than 30% deficit. Those ladies that were on the 42.5% deficit, while they did lose in like a 2-week period, it was something like, 3.8 pounds. Guess what? More of that weight came from muscle than it came from fat. So while your scale just told you you lost 3.8 pounds, guess what? Over 2 of it came from muscle. So stop chasing, first of all, your scale, and stop chasing these numbers of I need to lose X amount per week. It really means nothing. And the older you get, you've got to get really serious about putting on some muscle. If you're not maintaining at this 14 to 15, you got to get really serious about bringing that number up, because it's going to be very hard to make this sustainable without being able to have more calories in your life. Nobody wants to live a whole life of constantly being at like 15 to 1700 calories. I'm just moving into a build, but my maintenance is around 2100. Much more doable, much more sustainable, much easier to live at versus, when I used to maintain at like 1500 calories because I dieted for 10 years. When I hired Eric, that's where I was. Okay. So if you've dieted for an extended time, it's going to be lower than that, but the goal should be at least to get it up to 14. Okay. Whoops, someone's not muted. So now, like I said, why do we need to be weight stable there? Well, for health reasons, one, but two, if you already cannot sustain at a high amount, that means that you need to be dieting at like what, 1200 calories? And how is that going to be realistic? And this is where a lot of you have to talk yourself through like this practice. I had a client, she was metabolically adapted, okay, but didn't really want to admit it. And the way we knew this is when I set her calories at 11 times body weight and sent out that initial diet. She didn't lose, right? So we gave it a couple more weeks because, 2 weeks is never enough time, you guys, but we gave it another couple weeks, and she, no changes. And so that's usually my sign that I'm like, listen, if you're not like losing and we're pretty much maintaining here at 11, like we need to go up from here. We need to actually take a dieting break, go up, get up to weight stability, right? But we took it a little bit lower. I wanted her to experience like one, taking it lower, and let's just see what happens. So we went down to like 9 times body weight. Well, now this got a lot harder. Like the first week, she did it. Second week, by day 12, she's like, wow, my food, I am having so much food thought. I'm thinking of my food noise is loud. I'm hungry. I'm constantly thinking about food. I'm already thinking about the first time I'm going to be able to go off plan. Like we just knew we had to accept that it wasn't going to be sustainable. So this is again why you want to make sure you're coming from that place. So we like to start all of our caloric deficits right in the middle of the range of 10 to 12 times body weight. Okay. Again, you can go do all the little calculators online. You're going to end up being or between 10 to 12 times your current body weight. This isn't times your lean body mass or what your goal weight is. The only outliers we have here, I would say, is if you have more body fat to lose, and this is why I can't just give you a weight amount, because you could be 5'2" and 180. And I would say to you, okay, yes, we could do a little bit more of an aggressive caloric, deficit. Or you could be, 5'9" and 180. And I would not say that to you. I'd say, no, you're not really morbidly obese or really overweight. So let's push this. So there are some outliers here, and I always say, like, listen, feel free to even shoot me an email. Those I'm willing to kind of give you a range of where you would start, but generally speaking, you're going to start at 11 times body weight. Okay, so if we're just doing that math right now, let's say that you are 150 pounds, and we know we can see the range, right? If you're 10 times body weight, it's going to be 15 times body weight, or it's going to be 1500 calories. If you're 12 times body weight, that's 1800. There's your caloric deficit range. Let's just put it right in the middle. primarily because one, I know we're, I mean, we all want to see some progress, and maybe starting at that top end just won't bring, as fast of results, not that I'm saying we ever want fast, but top range, don't need to start there. We don't want to start at the low range because listen, we've got to have room to go. If we're already at the floor, we don't have any place to make adjustments as time goes on. So we're going to start them, especially for teaching this and for what I do with one-to-one clients. I pretty much start every single person outside of again, outliers at 11 times body weight. Okay. We call the first 2 weeks anyways a testing period, and you're going to want to do that with yourself. Like, this is a experiment. Think about a science experiment and how you've got variables that are there. So for the next 2 weeks, you're going to test, measure those, right? Okay. A couple of things to just, quickly say moving forward. Let me just check the chat really quick. Okay. What body fat would you consider very overweight? I mean, I'd say if you have 50 or more pounds to lose, then I would say that would be consideration of maybe starting you around 9 times body weight, testing it there, right? Okay, so what if I am 128 pounds, not really want to lose weight, but want to lose belly fat? Okay, well, either way, weight, fat, what I'll say is you've got to be in a caloric deficit to actually hit that belly fat. Want to building muscle, that's going to be going in a different direction. And this is the mistake that most people make is, he who chases two rabbits gets none. Is most people spend their whole life saying, I want to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. You can't do it. Try building a sandcastle without sand. It doesn't happen. Try building muscle without a surplus. You're eating in a caloric deficit. Think about what your body's doing. It's actually down regulating everything because it really hates being in survival mode. The last thing it's going to want to do is slap on some surplus muscle, right? Now, what will happen though in the caloric deficit is you will, I mean, and especially if you're new to training and if you haven't been strength training heavy, or maybe you haven't even been strength training, with a really solid sound routine, you will have what we call those newbie gains. And that's like at the beginning, you have a little bit of recomp. You are getting stronger. So you will lose some fat. And we do see that a lot, even in our Look Like You Train, those first few weeks, because they're walking daily, they're not doing their intense cardio, they're finally eating enough calories. Like, who knows? I don't know where your calories are currently. I would still start you though at 11 times body weight. And then if you started to aggressively, if the scale in 2 weeks was down, say like 4 pounds, and we might then bump that a little bit. And then once you get rid of that belly fat, that's when you move into, when you're at the place where you're feeling comfortable, that's when you should move into a build. You don't really want to move into a build when you still have fat to lose, because you're going to move into a caloric surplus. I just shared pictures on the main page the other day of me finishing my caloric, my diet this last year. And now I've been building for the last 5 weeks. I'm not I don't have as much muscle definition. I do lose my abs, so if you already still have more fat that you're wanting to lose, you're just going to feel softer and feel, I'd say uncomfortable there. But that being said, I just want to make sure I answered all those questions before I move on. Yeah, the presentation is going to be recorded. Yeah, use your current weight. Okay, so those of you that don't weigh a lot, let's just address that right now. Okay, because this just becomes like an eye opener to you. You only weigh 115 and 120 pounds. You don't have a lot of calories to play with. That means your maintenance is only, I have a client that she was started at 125. She's probably she wasn't very tall. We ended her dieting phase at 115. Her maintenance, because I think we finished right around 15 times body weight, but 115 times 15, even her maintenance is only 1725, right? So people like that, I always say, if you're lighter in weight, this really has to become a lifestyle where you're really good at implementing voluminous foods. You're really good at keeping structure in your day, because meal timing, your dieting hormones like that, you are less likely to have these hunger pangs, the really, crazy ones. This is where all those little things become, a big difference maker. So yeah, when you're lighter in weight, it's like, it's hard, right? Yeah, as you lose weight, let's say 10, 15 pounds, Yeah, you adjust from, like I always take this original meal template that we're building and we'll adjust from there, say like 10%. You know, um, you want to always go as little as possible while still seeing progress, right? And plateau, keep in mind, most people, I mean, like a plateau is going to be a few weeks, 3, 4 weeks with really high compliance and no change, not just scale. I'm talking measurements, everything, because you can still be having a lot of that change measurement wise, and the scale's just not really, showing it. So, okay, let me answer this last question, then we'll move on. You said, so you're saying that if we currently and have been for a long time in a caloric deficit, we need to get up our set calories? Yes, at least for 2 weeks. I mean, if you've been in a deficit for a long time and your body's not responding. So, Amy, for you, it may still be starting here at 11 times body weight, testing it for the next 2 weeks, like really be 100%, like just nail everything and truly see if your body's no longer responding there, then yeah, go back up. But you can still see here if you're going to have some, response. So we're going to set up start setting up our diet. The first thing is we're going to set up protein. Okay. You're going to want to set up protein here between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. This is what all the research shows. I'd say if you're a little bit heavier, we go down to about 0.63 because it technically could be on lean body mass. But that's only if you're like, Amy, I weigh 250 and that is a lot of protein. I'm just worried I'm not even going to be able to get it in. We'll take that down, maybe even to like, I have a client right now, let's say. So I had a client, she's 285 now, but she started at 315. So at 315 pounds, I started her at 0.6 grams per pound. That was still 190 grams of protein for her. And compared to the food and the nutrition she was eating before, so keep this in mind. But the easiest way that you guys are going to get through this is just set it at 1. Like just for the sake of like building your initial diet, and we get into the math of things, unless you really have an aversion to protein, sure, maybe set it on the lower side. Or like if you're someone like me that really loves my protein, I set it on the higher side. But you're going to set that first. So take that number, whatever your weight is, and I want you to put that into the chat right now. So if you're like 130 times, 1, just so we know where are we setting and unless you're someone that you're like, hey, Amy, I really hate protein, I'm setting it 0.8. Go ahead and do that, but give me your number so we have everyone, at least we've got this set. Okay, 178. I like to see how much people have to get in. Okay, 148, 150. Okay, great. Okay. No, not too high. No, 186. Remember, it's based on your weight. You know what I mean? Like I have clients that are, eating 220 grams of protein. Protein is the cornerstone. It is the thing that you need more than anything else. Okay, so we want to make sure we're getting this. Okay, so the next step, believe it or not, now that we know our protein amount, we need to actually add in our omega-3s. And this is through like your fish oil. A lot of people don't factor this in. The reason why I'm showing you that we factor this in is it has calories. Your fish oil has calories, and we like to build that in. Now, no two fish oils are alike. Let me just show you here. Like the goal here is not about like taking three fish oils a day. The actual studies, we're always evidence-based here, is it's 1.8 to 3.0 grams of the combined EPA, DHA per day. So I have a label here because I love to just show you guys so we get the example. So let's say that this is your fish oil. Do you see here, EPA is at 800 and DHA is at 600. So you're essentially getting 1,400 milligrams per 2 soft gels. So per 2. So I already know I'm not at that's 1.4, you guys, if we're putting in grams. So I'm already too low. So I already know that I need to have 3 of this one to hit that range. Okay. Because I know that only 2 soft gels is going to give me 1,400, whereas 3 is going to give me 21. And I could technically even go to 4 soft gels and get up to the 28. Okay. And then I factor those in. 2 soft gels is 15 calories. So if I'm going to have 2 servings, I'm going to already write on my little piece of paper that I got to factor in my my fat. So let me get my little index card out with you guys. I'll pretend. Okay. So I'm going to put on here. So the two numbers so far I should have is my grams of protein. So for me, I'm going to put 150 grams. Okay. And my fish oil is going to be, and 150 grams, you guys, is going to be 600 calories. Let's remember that. Okay. So, you know, roughly, because we already know that per pound, I mean, per gram, it's 4 calories. So we already know that we need to allocate. For me, mine is I got 150 grams. So 150 times 4 is 600. Okay. So I've got my 150 at the top. I'm going to show you what mine looks like just so you guys can see. Okay. Just the 150. Can you see that? I don't know. My light might be, there we go. 150 times 4. Okay. That, and whatever your number is. Okay. Do the math. Mine's 600 calories. Now I'm going to add that fish oil. So that's 30 calories for me. So I already know that I've got 630 of my total calories. And we should put that actually at the top, your total, which was your body weight times 11. So we already know where we're at. Okay. So we've added in our protein, we've added in our omegas. Okay. This is the part where a lot of people overcomplicate it. Okay. This is where we're going to fill in the rest. And let me just double check. You do eat a lot of salmon. Yeah, you'd still want to supplement with omega-3s. I mean, even clients that eat salmon 3 to 4 times, a week, you'll want to get them in. There's just so many benefits of fish oil. Okay, what if you're around 5'1"? Should you lower the numbers if you're, nope. Nothing about with height. Okay. This is all about what your body needs energy wise. Remember, calories are just energy. So you're just basically your body needs X amount of energy to maintain, and we just need to deduct from there to make that a caloric deficit. Okay. So just because we have our AFAs doesn't mean that we don't need to add more fats in. Now, a lot of people always want to know, what is the macro breakdown? Like, if I know I'm going to have X amount of protein, what do I need to have my breakdown for my fat and carbs? Well, that really, really depends on you, because we really want, once we've accounted for certain things, the only thing I say is you don't want to go below 15 to 20% of your total calories. Like we don't want to have our total fats below that. And we'll talk about that. Let me address this other question really quick in the chat too. Where did it go? I swear I just saw my chat bar. Okay. How many calories of fish oil? Well, will depend on your fish oil. So like my fish oil is, like as you saw my label, I'm going to have 30 calories. It's 15 grams. But most capsules are usually, because each of them will usually have like a gram of fat, which is like 9 calories, right? So just look on the back of your, label, but no two fish oils are alike. Remember, like you might think you're getting a good deal on a fish oil, and then you look at it and you're like, holy crap, I got to take 8 of these to hit the range. This didn't end up being a great deal after all. So we use the Revive fish oil, but Nordic Naturals is another good brand that has a high potency. But just go look at the labels and see how many you'd need to take to hit that, range. Okay, you said, my goodness, I'm wondering how I've been functioning while under eating so severely. Yeah, a lot. And here's the thing, I know people are afraid to eat more, and we've seen this a lot in our Look Like You Train group. We do this challenge, and during the challenge, they have meal templates to follow, and everybody starts at 11 times body weight. And there were a lot of people that were really scared when they saw the amount of calories. But we've now done 3 rounds of these challenges, and we have all the data where I meet with them at the end. The average person has lost a pound a week in the challenges, eating at 11 times body weight, scared to eat that much, and then realizing, oh my gosh, like I did need to be fueling my body. Like, gone are the days. And if you are like 45 and above, you were born in an era where it was like, eat as little as possible and starve ourselves to lose weight, right? You really have got to erase that from your brain, because now you're at a place in life where if you've only been chasing that, you've never really chased muscle. You don't have a foundation of muscle, and the last thing we want to continue to do is these aggressive, caloric deficits. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. So we're going to start to fill in the rest with our fats and our carbohydrates. Now, despite carbs get such a bad rap, and it just makes me feel so sad because I love my carbs, but you actually need a reasonable amount of them, in your diet. Our clients, we actually build 2 meal templates. So we build one for their training days that tend to have more carbohydrates, especially around like their training times. And then on their off days, the days they're not doing their strength training, they'll just have more fats. They still have carbs. I mean, I never have, like, even on my off days, I have 100 grams of carbs on my off days. But it just allows us to have even more fats on those days, and just also let your body and you yourself start to see how food is really fuel. And if you start to pay attention to eating the right things, and you'll notice that, I know that carbohydrates do fuel my workouts. And I'm, coming from a place of where I used to like do fasted workouts and never eat before training, and eat like a bird the rest of the day. It's a huge change. Okay, so you're going to want to fill them in, and we're going to go through building in just a second, but they do play a critical role. So please do not go low carb as we build this. Okay, so we'll start to break this down, and we're going to work on, first, you're going to take, if you've got another piece of paper here, hopefully you do, you're going to start to make an outline on the left side, as you can see, of how many meals you want to have a day. Be realistic as you see the amount of protein you have and the amount of time between meals. I would say, like I said at the beginning, most of you are going to have between 4 and 5. And by meals, one can be like a snack, that's okay. But just make that outline. I'll give you a minute here to do this. I just don't want to, and I'm trying to keep track of the time, because this is the one seminar I do where we're going. Okay, so just write out like kind of a little outline here. And then next to that, I want you to start to think of, in a perfect world, just your protein. We're not going to fill it in the rest, but every meal needs to have a protein source. Okay, so that's just something you need to keep in mind. Now, this is why and we're going to have the food sub calculator to show you, but what I want you to initially put in this meal template is, what are the things I most commonly eat? So like for me, like my 2 protein sources, my 2 meat protein go sources are chicken and ground turkey. So even though I eat ground beef a few times a week, and I do have, other things a few times a week, I'm putting on my meal template that at lunch I eat ground turkey a lot, and at dinner I'm eating chicken. And then I put eggs in here at my meal 1. I do, again, have shakes here or there. I have protein pancakes, but eggs are going to be my default. Okay. Meal 2, it's a protein shake for me. And then meal 5 is Greek yogurt. So those are all my protein sources. Okay. And you're just going to put that in there. We're not even back at our other paper where we had like our, mine that says I've got 1650 for my calories. I've got my protein, like that's the separate piece. Now this is just your outline here. Okay. Now let's go back to breaking this down. Okay, so we did your maintenance. We figured out, like, if you weighed 150 like me, your maintenance is going to be 2100 to 2250, that range, right? Fat loss was going to be 1500 to 1800. Okay, I set my calories. I set mine at 1650. Okay, and then I set my protein, which was 1 gram. So that was 150 grams times 1 pound. That gives me 600 calories. Okay, I'm deducting that from the 1650. That leaves me with 1050 calories left. I'm then going to add in my EFAs, which I showed you guys that, the EFAs. Mine was 30 calories because I need 4 capsules. So now I'm going to deduct that, and I have 1020 calories left. Okay, I want to give everybody enough time to do this little practice right here. If you have a question, put it in the chat and I'll help you. I'll answer, if you're like struggling with like the math or what to do. No, mine is, let me see, is my fish oil 60? Let me go back. I don't think so. Nope. No, because 2 soft gels, that's the servings per container. It was 15 calories right here, and I'm going to have 4 of them. At 186 grams of protein, should I pick 6? Let me just do the math really quick for you, Bonnie, on 5. 186 divided by 5 is 37. I'd probably do, here's the thing, 6 is more prep. Depends on how long your day is. If you have a full day, and if you are looking at it timing wise, you're like, I could do this. Otherwise, I'd stick to 5, because like I gave that shredded chicken I shared my shredded chicken. That's actually 49 grams of protein just for that little meal. So you can get some good, protein amounts in there. You could just probably make your lunch and dinner meals a little bit higher, but 6 is hard to commit to, it just is for me. But again, like look at your lifestyle, see what really the first and foremost. Yeah, I would say 30 calories, you guys, is a good estimate for it. So for the purpose of this, hold 30 to 30 for now. It may be 45 for some of you, but yeah, do 30 and just deduct that. So at least you can get to, let me come back to this so you guys see the right page. So you come back to this because I want to know how much we have left. Okay. And you're going to want to know your meals. Anyone feel really overwhelmed? If you are overwhelmed and you hate doing this kind of stuff, I mean, I do have some good news. If you're not currently in our Look Like You train, which at the end of this, and we start enrollment this weekend. The one positive, like if you're overwhelmed, let me just, while you guys are finishing this, let me stop my share for a second. Let me just give you a little sneak peek of what is in our group over there. So because I knew that this overwhelms a lot of people. And if you feel like this is going to overwhelm you and you're going to join Look Like You Train, you literally could tear up your paper right now and just listen to me for a minute because you're not going to have to do this. So these are all the diets I have built for our Look Like You Train program. As you can see, they are based, actually, I have even more than this because I see that these are based. Yeah, 110, 115 pounds. If you weighed 120 pounds, I've got 5 meal templates. The lighter people, you'll see I have 4 meals. Point being, I take all these up all the way to over 220 pounds. Or if you weigh anywhere from 100 to 220 pounds, I already have a customized diet built for you that basically is free in our Look Like You Train program. Okay. What brand? I said Nordic Naturals or Revive. Revive is the company that we get ours from. And that's the one I shared on there. But Nordic Naturals is who I use for years. So what does this mean? Let me show you. Is you would basically have access to a folder that has all these in it. So based on your current weight, you'd be able to come in and open one up. Now let me stop my share and open this up one more time. And then this is what would pop up for you. So if you weighed 170 pounds, I've already built a diet for you. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, but Amy, I mean, I don't actually like chicken breast and I don't like tuna. And the more I look at it here, I mean, I don't even use True Team protein powder. So how is this going to work for me? So we knew that was going to be the issue, right? We knew that the calories and where you needed to be in terms of nutritionally, we're going to match, but it wasn't the foods you like, because that's what we do with our one-to-one clients is we really build this based on their lifestyle. We even shift calories where they want it, where they're like, hey, I want a light breakfast or, all that. But these, I wanted them to be something that you guys could customize. So in these folders, what we have is we have a doc and the PDF. The doc is one that everyone in Look Like You Train, they can download it. And then from that doc, I'll show you at the end, once everyone else gets done building their diets, how you sub things off of this to create it as your own. So you would not have to do any of this math. I've already done all the math on those. So I just wanted to show that to you really quickly, because if you're like, oh my gosh, I loved building my diets even when I was just my own, like when I was learning this. And, I had my degree in criminal justice and fell in love. So not everybody, and I don't suggest everyone do fall in love with this. The less that you have to learn about, these kinds of things, the better. So back to building the diet here. And let me make sure we're in the right one. So now do you guys see let's break it down again? Tell me in the chat, because I've shared a lot of screens and the last thing I want is to be recording on the wrong thing. So is this what you see? Okay, great. Okay, so now you have your number and we're going to be able to fill in the rest. Remember how I told you that we didn't want to go below that 20% for the lowest amount of fat grams you can have in your diet, okay? So I'm going to get this bar out of the way. Sorry, it's like when you're sharing your screen, it's like got my picture right over the place I need to see. Okay, so you don't want to go below that 20%. So you're going to take your total calories. So mine was the 1650, okay? And all I want you to do is take, and I said between 20 to 25. So, let's get your calculator out, because this is the way you figure it out, is you're going to say, okay, my total calories, so mine was 1650, and I'm going to times it by 20 Oops, sorry. No, that can't be right. 20%, sorry. 1650 times 20%. Okay. And it's going to tell me what the lowest I can go. 25%, if I did that one, 1650 times 25% was 412.5. So we'll call it 413. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is I'm going to show you how to do the reverse math here. So now, and I keep mine at 25%. I know I can't go below 20%, but I love fats. And, you know, I lived so many years doing SnackWell's crap that I am all about embracing the fats. My skin has never looked better. Yes, to look like you, I'll come back to that in 1 second. I will answer that question. So you want to come in and do this. So you're going to come up with your number, come up with either 20 or 25%. Share that with me in the chat so I make sure you guys have it. Okay. So mine is 413. Okay. From there, you're going to take this number. I want you to divide it by 9. This is because every gram of fat, remember, has 9 calories. So you're going to divide your number by 9. And that tells you right now how many fat grams you're going to have, no less than this every day. Okay. So 413 divided by 9 for me tells me that I'm going to, they will, and it will come back into it. You'll see that. I mean, yes, your other things. Oh, does some protein natural? Yes, they will. So there'll be some natural fats that will come in. This is why if you set it like say at 20%, you'd end up probably being around 25% anyways, because your beefs and things, this is just like solid fats we're allocating into your diet, right? So yes, come up with your amount, and that's how many grams of fat you're going to have. Okay. So now we've got 2 numbers, which will then give us our third number. Okay. Because now we know that we have 150 grams for me. I'm giving mine. Okay. But keep yours. How many protein? Let's do your number of protein. So give me your number. 150 is me. I know now my fat gram amount, okay, is going to be 45. Let's just call it 46. Okay. And let's do the calories on that. We know that we have 600 calories of protein. I know I have 413 for my fats. Let's not forget my EFAs. Okay, that's another 30 calories. Okay, that's going to give you a new total. My total comes to 1,043. Okay, now all you're going to do is take your total, your total overall calories you're going to have for the day and subtract it. That's what's going to be left for our carbohydrates. Okay. My protein and carbs are about the same. Yep, that seems about right. That's about for me. Let's see here, 762 carbs. Okay, you mean 762 calories for carbs? So that seems very high. 500, oh, you mean 760 calories. Okay, yeah, so 762 calories, you're gonna divide that by 4. So all of this new number you got, this new number, you're gonna divide it by 4 because your carbs are 4 calories, okay? So like Becky, you got 590, divide that by 4, you get 147 grams. Okay, Jennifer, 251 grams of carbs. Give me your other numbers so I know what we're working with, because I'm wondering if you've got pretty high calories. 190 grams of carbs, yep, that's good. Okay, 146, good. I love seeing your numbers. Yeah, give me all of them. If you have all 3 of your numbers now, and here's the thing, this is the trick. You never need to know your calories, because if you know these numbers, if you know carbs, fat, and protein, you just do the math on them and they all come up. Like I'll be able to figure out, okay, so your fat, Jennifer, being so low, we'd want to give more to that. I know that that was the floor on that. That just seems off, because then your protein too. Tell me your total. How much do you weigh, Jennifer? So I'm assuming okay, 185. Okay. And you did the 0.8 because you don't really like protein, I'm assuming. That might be it. So we'll work on Jennifer's here. So you had 148 protein, 45 fat, and 251 carbs, and you weigh 185. Okay, you just chose that number. Okay. So 150, let me see, 185 times 0.8. I just want to make sure you're getting enough. So you're getting at the low end of protein, which is fine. Okay. I would add more fat just so you're not at 250 grams of carbs. That's pretty high. I mean, we just don't need that much, and you'd want to have some more fat in there. So move those ranges around because you can kind of play with it. Everybody else, 316 grams of carbs. No, that seems pretty high. Christy, give me all your numbers here, and then I can see. So if you see like your carbs are, because remember, this was just the least amount of fat you could use. You certainly can use more. Like on my, I mean, I have, well, in fact, I mean, I could look at my diet right now. I've got quite a few grams of fat, probably 70 grams of fat. So, you don't have to go that low. Sorry, I'm trying to get some things off my screen, but no less than that. Okay, let me look here. I want to make sure I got everyone's protein 800 calories, EFAs 426. I was calculating 1 gram. Yep. So Kristen G, that left 449. So then you're going to just take that 449, divide it by 4, and now you know that you have 112 grams for carbs. So you've got, let's see here though, that doesn't sound right for me. 800 calories for protein. Did you do 200 grams of protein? Is that why? That's high. If you weigh 155, remember, you just do 155 grams of protein. All right. So, and if this is, 155, 46, yeah. So if you weigh, and Becky, how much do you weigh? You weigh 150, right? Because this looks just like my macros. Yeah, don't worry about your goal weight. Remember, we're not, because we're just putting you in a caloric deficit. So don't worry about your goal weight. You miscalculated that, the 155. Okay, that makes more sense. You're thinking about where you are currently right now. Okay, because remember, we can always lower that protein, but you want to be putting it in here. Okay, Christy, 1958, 170, your EFAs, K46 fat. So if my fat is 39, yeah, because you know how to do, 39 times 9 equals 351. Yes. So you just do the reverse. This is how you, figure that out. And I will say, if this kind of stuff overwhelms you, this is where you want to join Look Like You Train. I know it's a training group, but the bonus of just having them in there to help you. So, but let's keep going. We got to keep moving along, and we'll talk more about everything. So now that we've broken it down, now we're going to go back to that little meal template that we had. Okay. Now keep in mind, we're just building a rough draft right now. You guys are really going to be able to manipulate and divide the food where you want it more and more. The math teacher me is loving this. Oh, Terry, see this, I live for this stuff. What was the calories? Okay, 155 grams of protein. So you times it by 4, because each gram of protein is 4 calories. Each gram of carbs is 4 calories, and each gram of fat is 9 calories. Okay. So now that we've done our breakdown of our calories and our macronutrients, does everyone have their breakdown? Okay. Let's hope we're there. I know I'm trying to move fast, guys. Sorry. I just love the interaction. I want to really help you get to the end here. Hopefully we don't go over. Okay. So if you're doing it according to mine and we're just dividing it evenly, remember, you're going to be able to adjust it more later. Let's at least get this first template out, right? So I already know now for my caloric deficit, I get 1,650 calories. If I divide that by the 5 meals that I wanted to have, and this is just evenly for math, even sake, that's going to put me at, let's just do the division here, 150 grams of protein for the day. That's roughly 30 grams per meal, 151 grams of carbohydrates. If I wanted to divide them evenly, I could. That would give me 30, grams at each meal, and then 46 grams of fat for the day. And again, you could, do that. Whoops, I think I just was supposed to let someone in. Sorry. You could divide that evenly, but I'm going to show you kind of like what I do throughout it. Okay. So you want to get to that place. Let me check the chat one more time. Okay. Yep. You can it's okay to do 4 meals. Yeah, totally. 4 meals works better for a lot of people. So divide it by 4 then at that point, right? So like if you're doing whatever you decided up here, guys, is what you're going to divide that by. Okay. So if it was divided by 4, your meals are going to be a little bit bigger, right? Let me come back to the right one. Okay. So this is why it said it was really important to choose the amount of meals you prefer. You know, you're going to kind of plot out that ideal protein. We kind of put that up there earlier, right? And kind of just visualize your day as you're like currently living, right? It's like my school teacher just recently, she has no choice but to go like 4 hours between meals. And that meal has to be something that's XYZ. Like you got to start thinking about your life. You can build more templates after this, but let's get that initial one done, right? So coming down to here, I then, again, we're not even working with numbers yet. You've got your numbers, but we still got to choose what we're going to be having because you don't want to get suckered into knowing your macros and head over to MyFitnessPal. In fact, I will be so mad if you showed up to this. I just gave you your macros and you head over to MyFitnessPal because you're going to be married to your numbers and obsessed with your numbers. And instead, I want to teach you this meal template. Okay. So now that you have those numbers, set them aside and you're going to build out more of your plan. So as I mentioned, like you could put a fat and a carb at every meal. I mean, we already know protein needs to be at each meal, but I don't put, for example, carbs at my last meal. I would rather divide them by my other 4 meals to give me more carbs at those meals. And I just like to have Greek yogurt and peanut butter at my last meal. Some people breakfast, they don't, maybe they're not training till later in the day. If you're not training till later in the day, I would take away a carb at breakfast, you know. But again, you can divide them evenly. But if not, you're going to, you know, start to sort things out this way where you see in an ideal world, what would your life look like knowing that you still get to sub, but you got to put a placeholder there. It's kind of like, you know, you're like, hey, you got to put the initial thing here no matter what. We know that you're going to be changing things up. Okay. Then you're going to start to plot your initial meals. Okay. We're going to calculate weight amounts of protein in grams and calories, and we're going to start to calculate the amounts of carbs and fats into our meal plan. Okay. So this is where, again, if you're a math geek, you're going to love this. If not, you're like, I hate life, but I'm going to stick it out. Okay. So first we're going to come over to this left side and we're going to have to start to break down the math. And this is what, I mean, you're going to have to do this on your own as you go meal by meal. I'm going to do one meal with you right now, this first meal, but then you're going to need to do the rest. But one thing you can do right now on your little sheet, so let's say that you've already written out that you have 5 meals like this. I want you, if you've done your division, like divide it by your 4 or 5 meals, go put the calories that you're roughly going to be having at each meal in there. And I say roughly because as you see in my final one, it's going to be give or take, you know, and like I, you know, and no, you know, like I even have ranges because it will, you'll see as you start to put this meal plan together, it will shift a little bit. Okay. So I know that I have 330 calories at every meal and that I really need to aim to have no less than 25 grams of protein at all of those meals. Okay. And I as I put up here, I really want to have eggs, oats, and fruit at that first meal. So we're just going to start at our first meal right now. So get, you know, you might need to get a fresh little card out because you're going to just treat this like its own. And I'm going to put my 330 calories at the top just to remind me that's what I get. And that I would like to have eggs, oats, and some fruit there, and that I really need to get at least 25 grams of protein. So we're going to start with the protein, and this is where we're going to go. And you can use MyFitnessPal for this part of the exercise if you want. It might be faster, but I am going to show you how to use our food sub calculator. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, and it is a little bit of trial and error at first if you've never used it, but you know that you need to have, like for me, I need to hit 25 grams of protein. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just type in chicken breast, or no, not chicken breast. I'm going to type in egg. Okay. I like to, you know, let's say if I wanted to do, and we'll play around a little bit. I mean, I know that we're running out of time, but I want to show you the error parts of it. Like, let's say, okay, well, maybe I'm going to have 2 eggs. Ignore the second box. You're not even worried about that. We're just trying to find out the calories right now of 2 eggs. And like I said, you can go to MyFitnessPal for this part of the exercise if you want to build it there. But I want you still to come back and have that, you know, oh, I did egg whites. Sorry, you guys. Let me go back. It's got to be whole. Okay. Not caring what I put in that second one. So 2 whole eggs is actually going to give me 142 calories and only 12 grams of protein. So if I'm looking already like, I'm like, oh man, 2 whole eggs and I got to hit 25 grams of protein, and I only have 330 calories to deal to work with. I mean, even if I filled it up with all whole eggs, I'm not even going to actually hit my protein amount. So this is where like a combination of eggs and egg whites is really good, right? So as you saw, let me come back over to my other screen that I shared. You know, I did a combination here of doing one egg, which was, you know, because you're going to go through the process of figuring out, you know, one egg's only 5 grams of protein, 70 calories. And since I knew I needed to have at least 20 more grams of protein, I mean, you could even go over to MyFitnessPal and just start hitting in egg whites until you hit that. So for me to hit 21 grams of protein, I had to have 200 grams of egg whites to hit that. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for coming. I'm happy you guys, you know, could come at least for a while. So you're going to break that down. And now we already have our protein amount there, right? So I see now that one egg is going to be 70 calories and 5 grams of protein, and 200 egg whites is going to be 90 calories and 22 grams of protein. So now I've spent essentially, you know, 160 of my calories. And that leaves me with left 170 calories for the rest of it. So, and I went ahead and did this with every single protein on this meal, where then I got to see whatever I would have left combination of. So I already knew meal 4, in order to hit 25 grams of protein, I need to have 85 grams of chicken, which equaled 135 calories. Minus that from my 330 leaves me with 195, and then I can start to build the rest of that in, right? So we're just, you know, but just starting with that first one, you've got to get your protein first. How many of you, what meal did you guys choose to play with? Did you choose meal 1 or did you choose another meal? And what are you having for breakfast so we can see where you're at? We're still doing it here. Are we starting to get overwhelmed? But okay, so hopefully you've got at least to that point, and then you have what is left from there, right? And then you can start to fill it in again, going back to either MyFitnessPal or seeing, you know, for me, when I fill in another 170 calories, the way it worked out for me is I could have 30 grams of oats and 60 calories of fruit. That totaled 335. So it was a little bit over that 330. And again, this is also why we have ranges, right? As you see at my meal 2, I happen to go to 325. So it will all work out. Julie, 2% cottage cheese, 2 whole eggs, nice toast. Great. Breakfast, same as mine, right. So putting that in, you at least have that first meal. And then you're going to go ahead and do that for all of them until you get to a place. I mean, you can have it hand written out, but it could be, you know, typed out that you have everything that looks like what I have over on this right side, which is your amounts fully for the full day. So this full day right here equals 1,660 calories. It ended up, when it was all said and done, remember I was aiming for 150, you know, and this is why ranges are important to have. And I ended up with 145. I ended up with 144 grams of carbs, and they ended up with 56 grams of fat, okay, total in this meal plan. Right. So it does take, so you said, so basically an egg white is 3. Yep. So basically, I mean, if you were doing liquid at that, if you were doing all egg whites, yeah. And this is where you might want to stack some things. This is why I like people to really, it's first asking yourself what you really like. Do you like turkey bacon too? Maybe you're going to stack some turkey bacon in there. Maybe you find that breakfast is just not your thing, you guys, and you're like, oh, I want that one to actually only have like 15 grams of protein. And so I'm going to shift some. So, like I said, when I showed you guys today, I pretty much just divided it evenly, right? For the sake of just teaching you kind of like the math of it. But now that you know your, at least your macros, you could spread it differently. Maybe meals 3 and 4, which happen to be like they're my meat meals, maybe you want more protein at those so that your breakfast, you don't have to have 200 grams of egg whites, or, you know, maybe those are just, it's not your jam, right? So you start to move things around based on that. Vegetables, okay. So I'm glad you asked this. And you know what? That reminds me, Anita, we do not factor vegetables in because I mean, one, they're 2 parts water. They are very fibrous. And 2, the last thing I want people to do is stop eating their freaking vegetables because they started to see their calories go up, and it's either the broccoli or their potato. Have both. What I tell people is, I mean, we factor in essentially when I'm building a diet, like I'm assuming you're going to eat 3 to 4 cups of vegetables per day. If you don't, I mean, you should be supplementing with the greens, if you're not having that. And if you want more than that, and it's due to like, I mean, like, because you just love vegetables, then I would build some in and take away some of your starchy carbs for that. Like if you're like, I want to have more than 4 cups, but if it's from a place of like, I'm so hungry during the day and I kind of don't have a healthy relationship with food, so I'm overeating vegetables and I'm not really eating a lot of fiber otherwise, then we would talk about it, right? I was a vegetable abuser. I used to eat very, very low calorie. And then because I would be so hungry, I would eat like a whole head of cauliflower. Like eventually the calories do matter. So that's why I say roughly don't factor in 3 to 4 cups. If you're going to have more than that, then I would factor it in. But like our meal plans come like this. Like see how like when I'm building a plan for a client, this client doesn't train before they work out. So she's just drinking EAAs. But she's built in some greens and she wants to have coffee creamer. That's the other thing. Some coffee creamer, you guys, if you want to put that in there. And then I even put her times on here so she would roughly see when she's going to be eating. But you can choose, like I just put on here optional 1 to 2 cups of vegetables or salad. Like you want to be, I feel like at this place in my life, if I had to start tracking my vegetables again, like I think we're just going down the wrong restrictive place. That's just my opinion. And I think that, this just encourages. How do you feel about MCT oil? Absolutely fantastic. MCT oil is the bomb. So I would build it in, if you like that, it's all about building. As you can see, look how customized this diet is for this person. I mean, she's got a specific granola we put in there. This just becomes your launching pad, okay? Because then you're going to learn to sub from here. This just becomes like the thing you use often. But let me just tell you a little bit quickly about our Look Like You Train, because I would not be doing it service. So one thing we learned through this 21-day challenge, and if you did the 21-day challenge, we really loved seeing you in there and learning that a lot of you are protein deficient and that you needed some help there. Calories for non-training days, by the way, are the same. So we don't, you don't want to see training as a calorie burn anyway. So you may be a little more active on your training days. Sure, you may be burning a little bit more, but we don't factor that in. My training days and off days are the same calories across the board. You could at yourself, if you wanted to do a little bit of shuffling of calories, maybe you'd like to zigzag them and on training days be a little bit higher, but your total calories over the week would need to match up, right, on that. Let me just make sure I get to the rest of this. But yes, it's been really eye-opening to see some of you in there. Now, the way our Look Like You Train group works is it opens up 4 times a year. It is a training program, essentially. We started it with the idea of servicing people that wanted a solid training program to get stronger and to look like they train. And, we did it during COVID. From that, it has evolved. It's basically our version of group coaching in that I've now built the meal templates in there. We do live calls where you then can come to the call and I help you troubleshoot the template that I've already built. So then I help you do that. And it's just been our best way. We never had offered the templates in here because it was a training group. And then, when we saw the drawbacks of my goal always is to see you have success with us helping as much as possible. So we found that doing these templates, allowed me, I just wanted people to customize them. And so we do, if you end up joining Look Like You Train, in fact, this next round, when you join Look Like You Train, we're gamifying it. And one of the gamification parts of it is that you've got to customize the template that I've given away to you for yourself. So it's kind of holding you accountable to do that work. We do cap it every single time. We only like the group to grow by 10%. It has a really high retention. We only lose about 10% of people each time. Maybe it's just not the right fit for them. But so each time we only bring in a little bit because our veterans really kind of help bring up these newbies. We're all females in there. It is $75 a month. Okay, so it does require a 3-month minimum, and that's just because we like you to go through one round at least to see what it's like. I will say the average person stays on, for forever. This is round 17 of Look Like You Train, and we have people that have been in there since day one because your training still needs, even if you get to your goal. I'm at my goal and I'm still training. There is an app for the program. We use the Train Heroic app. And we have the Facebook group. And then, like I said, we have these are already built for you. And then I teach our meal card method throughout it. So we've seen people join the Look Like You Train. And then now, thanks to us having these templates in there and us doing these challenges, people are seeing results. They're losing fat because the training component alone, while you must be strength training and you must be lifting heavy, it is not your source of fat loss. That is not where you are getting your fat loss. Your nutrition is what's going to be driving that. So if you want to join our group, I'm going to put this in here. There's 2 links that I'm going to set in the chat. One is our link to our food subcalculator, because you need that to go and do this. Number 2 is the landing page for, oops, I didn't mean to send that just to her. Hold on, meeting group chat. Is to our Look Like You Train landing page. Go take a look at it. No one else knows that it's open yet. We officially open on Sunday. So this is early bird just for those of you that are coming to the Build Your Diet, or those that signed up to get the replay. You will see this. You can sign up. The early bird special is that the app is free. So it's a 20, like we have the app as an optional upsell. I always suggest people get in it. Everyone that's already in the group. So if you stay round after round, after the first round, the app is free for you, because now you're part of the early bird because you're in the group. So if you sign up this weekend, the app is free. Otherwise, and so it's $75 a month. We do cap it. Like I said, we only add on. Last time we capped it at $550. This time we'll cap it at $600. So we're only growing by 10%. And you'll get to stay in. The group is still the same. That's the great thing. We don't move the group anymore. So our group has stayed the same group. People move if they don't decide to come on, they move out. But they will we stay in the same place so that it becomes a community. It really is. We have a book club. We've done a lot of other things. Yes, you can join if you work out from home, and if you go to that sales page. In fact, let me click on it and I will share my screen just really quick. If you go on to the sales page and come down here, so like I said, this is just the early bird for you guys, but you're going to come down and you'll see what's included in it. Okay. It shows pictures of the app so you can see what the Train Heroic app, its reps, sets, everything. I mean, you'll be blown away by what the training is like. Okay. And then come down here, and this is going to give you the list of the bare minimum of what you need, what's optimal, but the bare minimum would be here. You need an adjustable bench, you need dumbbells, and you need some resistance bands. You can also check out, there's a little hyperlink right here. It's hard to see, but it says check out this resource. If you go there, there's a PDF of things that you could get if you're like, Amy, I don't have an adjustable bench. You can go check out this resource of the prices of things that people that have joined our group, they've put together some pretty cool home gyms. Okay. So it's fantastic. So your training will be taken care of in the group. All right. Your nutrition now will be taken care of in the group. And as an extra bonus, if you guys join this weekend, I'm going to do a kickoff call just for you guys next Wednesday. It will be recorded too, to help all the new people get an early kickstart on the nutrition, because we start training March 4th. So you've got like a week, because usually we don't even open this until next week. So you've got a little over a week. So next Wednesday, I'd be sending an email to everybody that joins this weekend, and we're doing our own private kickoff call with the nutrition templates so we can get you set up, because all our veterans, they've got their templates, they're ready to go. And we have a fun game. We're doing a game called Behavior Bingo this next round. That is so awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun, and really just, again, emphasize all the behaviors that you guys have been learning in this 21-day challenge. These are things that we do in the group, and now you'll have an extra layer of accountability. So I'm excited, Terry. Yay. It will be a lot of fun. We do weekly calls in there. I mean, go see the page. There's a lot there. I don't want to waste any more time here. And you said, sorry, you said, if you will, I have the link in here. I am sending out a link this weekend, you guys. You can join this weekend if you're on this call, or you signed up for it so that you get the recording. I just put in the chat though, here is the page to go sign up. You can go sign up now. We just haven't put it up publicly. This is all right. So it will go out an email. You will be able to get in this weekend. The app is free. It's the free upgrade for the next 48 hours. We're not going to put it out publicly either. It was just really to say thank you to you guys, and we really loved having you in here. We really want the community to continue to grow. So thank you for being in the 21-day challenge. We will do it again. And if you are joining us and Look Like You Train, rip up your diet right now, because my diet that I've built for you is so much better because you won't have to think about it. And thank you guys for joining me. I'll send out this recording. Any other questions, you can always shoot me an email. We are, just an open door policy here. So have a great one. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys.